He's innocent. The day always comes if you're innocent. He's innocent. The day always comes if you're innocent.
Get on the train before it leaves the station. Wisconsin versus Avery, a complete fabrication. Get on the train before it leaves town. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down.
Hello, everybody.
And we all know Stephen and Brendan were blamed, but it does not take a brain surgeon to see that they were framed. And yes, we know what this was about. The civil suit, the settlement, they did not want to pay out, want to pay out. And you may hear this song, or maybe you don't get it. I suggest you look up TikTok, Minute to Walk on Reddit. There you will find trial transcripts, evidence files, and reports, and you will start to fathom the corruption within the court. And as you shake your head because everything seems demented, you will find yourself in company of three unbanked judges that dissented. But don't you worry, you're not going insane. You just happen to sit down on Zellner's true train. Get on the train before it leaves the station. Final destination, inevitable exoneration. Get on the train before it leaves town. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down. Get on the train.
All right. That's our good friend Stacy Seabrook, friend of the channel. And, you know, I'm putting up the Michael Kelly, Len Kaczynski political drawing made by the lovely Susan Sexton. Because I think this situation right here illustrates, I mean, even though it's with Brendan, it, for me, illustrates just the gross incompetence, the gross negligence, the gross corruption that was going on in this case, that these two were allowed to do what they did, and that even despite what they did, they essentially sent their client down the river, that pretty much made it impossible, no matter what his next lawyer did, that he was screwed by the actions of these two men. And yeah, you know, I love this political cartoon. And this one, folks, I mean, I approached Susan to actually create two previous cartoons for me. One is the camel with the bales of hay on it, representing, you know, the camel representing Brendan Dassey's case, and it has the bale of hays on top of it. And Kaczynski and O'Kelly were each a bale on top of that camel. And anyways, I had her create that one. And then I had her create the one where it had Schimmel and Kratz hiding behind the Hallbox skirt. You know, so those of you who remember that one. So maybe I'll show you guys that one a little bit later. But anyways, I feel that what went down with these two morons, I think, illustrates very clearly the level of just idiocy and corruption in this case. And not only that, but an attitude of, you know what, we'll never get caught. And that's why we'll be so obvious about it. We don't even care. And because we'll never get caught. And now it's coming back. And yeah, it's like I was saying with Brandon Maddox yesterday morning. It's time to just pull the Band-Aid off, guys, and get it over with. So that's what I wanted. A second. All right. Hello. There I am. What's up, T1? How's it going? Hello, Pom Pom. Hello, Connie, Lori, Go Mean Green. Hey, everybody. Guess who got the notification on the iPhone 30 minutes before? Right on, Go Mean Green. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the strongest points with for Zellner. You know, at this point, the things that she's arguing. Now, I'm gonna try to break this up in a way to explain these things so that you understand how they matter and, you know, at this point, how they'll be litigated and that sort of thing. Because I know it can be kind of confusing, this whole process for everybody of people understanding what it means that this has now been remanded back to the circuit court. I know some people they struggle understanding what that means. Hopefully we'll be able to try and help clear that up further today. We have done videos about it already, but just hopefully we'll be able to clear that up even further today. How's it going, T1? What's up, buddy? Oh, sorry to hear that, Connie. Hope you're feeling better, though. Let's see. As a parent's full-time caregiver for you. Oh, that cartoon is from my good friend Susan. The funny thing is I had her create the first two things, and then as I was asking her about the Hallbach skirt with Schimmel and Kratz hiding behind the Hallbach skirt, she's like, oh, I was having this other idea about like O'Kelly, where he's like drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon and like he's like bawling his eyes out and everything or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I go, you know what would be? Oh, you know what would be even better? Like, is to have a little voice bubble coming from off screen or something. I was thinking like have it be his wife or something, right? Coming from off screen, whatever. Just a voice bubble from off screen saying, "Hey, Mike, why don't you switch brands?" Or whatever, right? Because he's sitting there blubbering into his beer, and then she ran with it, and then she ended up doing that little bit where she drew Len over there in the kitchen in his little cat slippers, doing the dishes, and oh my lord, she totally freaking nailed it. So that's my good friend Susan Sexton. She's awesome. Want to stay away from the blue light? Thank you. She is cool. She's awesome. I mean, it's like I said, and I'll probably put it up here later on. But she also did the one with the Hallbox. That's the Hallbox skirt. I'll even maybe at some point put up the one she did for Brendan with the camel with the bales of straw on top, and the camel has an Acme back brace on, and yeah, it's great. I love the way she does the faces of the characters in this. Like she in the camel one, she did Kratz and Fassbender in the picture, and I mean just nailed it. Like the little just kind of caricatures of their faces, but like so much like them. It was awesome. But anyway. Let's see. Oh yeah. By the way, Julie, I saw your comment, and I'm sorry to hear about that as well. The only thing about green is Walmart actually recently did a green porch light for vets event, so that may cause confusion. I support our vets, but we may want to make sure we know what it means. Fluorescent pink. I know Lucky having fried with pawn shop. Fried with pawn shop. Yeah. Just popping in real quick to say hi. Hi, Allie. Do me a favor, Allie. Answer your phone when this live is over. I want to talk to you real quick. I heard the cats in Manitowoc, like 0 to none now. I still think it should go from blue to green. I think green's probably going to be the best color, but now it may be confusing with the veterans thing if that's going on because, I have a green light on my house. Hello, waiting for warm weather for that rally so we can talk at the same time. Yep, I can't wait. No worries. It should be a quick one anyways, Ali. No worries. Yellow. Is that a bug light? I don't know what color lights we can really go with. I think maybe the idea of those lights that do like a multicolored type of a, thing, like a fade in, fade out type of multicolored deal. That may be the way to go. So I don't know if black lights will be noticeable enough. Purplish, same problem. Will it really be noticeable enough? Purple. That's for me the big question on that. Yeah, stained glass bulbs would be interesting. I've seen those before. That would be an interesting possibility to do. It would be unique. It would be fairly unique. Anyways, that's not what this video is about. So we're going to talk about Zellner's, strongest arguments. What's she arguing that's the strongest? And I think to start off, I'm going to start off with some of the things that are on the motion for post-conviction relief, and we'll work up to what's going on right now with the bones going back to the circuit court. So obviously, those of you who have been kind of following us going through the motion for post-conviction relief, you know that we started out with the intro. We created the little slideshow who Julie Johnson, who's here in the chat, lovely Julie Johnson, has been helping us out with. We created the slideshow, and you guys will remember that in the first couple parts, it was basically pointing out that the prosecution's narrative is ridiculous in the extreme, and it can be proven false in so many ways that it's laughable in a lot of ways. And that was like a main theme in the first couple parts, really, right? Then, we moved on into the ineffective assistance of counsel section, where really the main theme was, she was saying a lot of things and giving a lot of reasons why she felt Dean and Jerry were somewhat ineffective in their assistance with their counsel there. But mainly it was about the fact that they did not call in the proper experts to properly refute the prosecution's experts who were wrong. And she's basically saying that had they brought in the proper experts to refute these experts who are wrong, as I have done, then it would have made a big difference and that sort of thing. So that's one thing she's arguing. Now, I understand how people feel. I'm so understanding. I am not a Jerry Dean basher either. That's not what I'm here to do. I do not agree with it. I think Dean and Jerry are awesome, and to be perfectly honest, Jerry continues to be very vocal and very outspoken about Stephen and Brendan, and so I would not seek to take anything away from either one of them, Dean and Jerry. However, you heard them from their own mouths in MAM2. You heard it from their own mouths that Zellner's doing exactly what she has to do, and that they understand that she has to go after ineffective assistance of counsel because that is one of the tools at her disposal in post-conviction that they completely understand that she is going to point out what she feels they did wrong in her own opinion, and they're fine with that. And as Travis has said on this channel, Travis Williamson, who's over here in the chat, you've heard him say it on this channel, that when it comes to situations like this, lawyers who formerly represented a client who's now on post-conviction, in the post-conviction process, when it comes to situations like this and ineffective assistance of counsel claims, they will essentially fall on their own sword and say, yes, I could have done this and gotten this expert in to refute the blood spatter expert, for instance, right? I could have gotten an expert in to properly refute his evidence, and that probably could have changed the minds of the jury potentially quite a bit if they realized that the state was misrepresenting that blood spatter, or that type of stuff, right? That's what they can do. They'll come in and fall on the story and say, yeah, it's my bad, I should have, blah, 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 blah. And they're willing to do that. So when you hear people knocking Dean and Jerry and stuff like this because of the ineffective assistance of counsel stuff, don't be too hard on Dean and Jerry. And maybe don't think that the people who are saying it are being too hard on Dean and Jerry. It's just one of the tools in the post-conviction toolbox, and Dean and Jerry completely understand that Zellner is using it. So keep those things in mind, obviously. But yes, she has a bone to pick with the fact that they 1 second. She has a bone to pick with the fact that they did not bring in the proper experts. She has a bone to pick with just certain issues they didn't raise. As you know, you guys can go back and check out. We did 2 parts on ineffective assistance of counsel because that was such a huge part of her motion for post-conviction relief, that we did 2 parts on it. Now, to give everybody somewhat of an understanding here, it all starts out back in 2016. Zellner kind of takes on the case or whatever, and eventually she files for scientific testing. She goes to court, she gets granted that or whatever, and then eventually over the next several months, she's testing all that evidence, whatever. Then in 2017, in June of 2017, she files her motion for post-conviction relief, which is largely based on, or a lot of it is based on the evidence that she tested and things like that. She files her motion for post-conviction relief. That's what Travis and I and Tracy Struncy has been coming on for some of the MPCR videos, as we call them. MPCR stands for Motion for Post-Conviction Relief, MPCR. So I've had even Tracy Struncy coming on to help and stuff, and we've been covering these things. So what the motion for post-conviction relief is basically everything that she was saying that she's found at that point in her investigation, what she's finding in the documents that proves what her theories are, and how her evidence fits more with the accounts in queso kind of thing, right? It's what it is, just a large list of what her new arguments are. And like I said, the ineffective assistance of counsel claims are a big part of it. The Brady claims against Kratz are a huge part of it, just because of the way he conducted himself. And then with the Brady violation with the CD, right? Now, the CD wasn't originally part of her motion for post-conviction relief. It hadn't been given to her when she filed the motion for post-conviction relief. After she filed the motion for post-conviction relief, I think it was about in September, about 3 months later, that's when suddenly the CD was handed over to her. So she immediately filed with the Court of Appeals there and said, look, I was just handed this CD containing evidence of what was on the DASI computer. Here's my arguments. It got remanded back to the circuit court. So that you guys understand, this has already happened once. I'm sorry for you guys. I'm not watching the chat right now. I'll try to go back and address some of it when I kind of go through this, but it already went back. We already had something go back to the circuit court once on this. And as Travis was pointing out the other night when we were live and talking about this stuff, is that the wording in that the Court of Appeals used when they sent the CD back to the circuit court, which is where Judge Angela Suck is, right? Judge Suck. They used the same wording then that they're using now. Okay? Even though that wording seems clear to anybody that reads it, any of us laymen, any other lawyer that I've heard so far that has read that, interprets that to mean hold an evidentiary hearing and find fact, right? But not Judge Angela Suk. So this almost puts a kind of the finger on what I'm saying here. A strong part of her argument is the fact that this is being handled so strangely that Judge Suk isn't even, the Court of Appeals sends something back there because they want more facts on it, and she decides no more facts. I think that if Zellner if Zellner ends up back in the appeals court after the current bones situation, and when they go back to the district court on the bones right now, if she ends up back in the appeals court, I think the appeals court is going to be taking a huge bad view of the state. Okay, and there's two reasons why. First is going to be the fact that they're going to feel that the state is playing games with these bones. And I don't think they found it very amusing that the state was suggesting that Avery should drop his appeal to pursue that issue. I don't think they found that amusing. So I think that issue is running strong for Avery right now. If that ends up back in the Court of Appeals, if Judge Angela Suck does what we think and is completely unfair and completely won't even give it a time of day and just sends it and kicks it right back, if that's what happens, I think the appeals court is going to be taking a very negative view of the state at that point. Just my opinion. I may be wrong, but judging by the wording they're using when they're, let me put it another way. It's not very common for the Court of Appeals to remand things to the circuit court for fact finding. It's not something, it certainly doesn't happen twice in one case very often. Okay. So you got to just think about that for a second. How does Wisconsin keep coming up with a black eye of hiding things here? That can't be a coincidence. But so like I said, you got this current bone issue, but then you've got that CD. Okay, that CD is a Brady violation. That's kind of a unique thing. Because it's a Brady violation, it was something they had and didn't hand over. That would have certainly led Dean and Jerry to realize that what was on the DASA computer was not what Ken Kratz was telling them, that it was not inconsequential and all that stuff. The CD that would have told Dean and Jerry that was a lie was withheld. So that's a Brady violation, and we now know that recently the Wisconsin court, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has decided that the interpretation of Brady has changed now. It's no longer going to be weighing heavily on whether or not the defense did its due diligence. It's no longer going to weigh heavily on that as it has been, as it has somehow become accustomed to doing. It is now right back in the lap of, did you have it? Was it, what could it have been helpful? That sort of thing. And so now it's not going to rely, it's not going to have this strong reliance on whether or not the defense performed its due diligence. It's just going to be whether or not the state had something and withheld it. And that's really, for me, the way it should be. So with that change, that's a change that's happened since Judge Suck's decision regarding the CD. So with that change, I think that's going to change the way that the Court of Appeals is going to look at that claim now. I think it's going to give it more teeth. It's going to give it more bite. And it's going to actually be a more potent issue at this point. So I'll go ahead and at this point take a little break from my little soapbox to look at what's going on in the chat here. Go back a little bit here. Okay, what do we got? Blah, blah, blah. Yep, exactly right. Dean Jerry has shallow pockets with little time on the top of being misled by the prosecution at every turn. Absolutely. That's what I meant by the CD that would have informed them that Kratz was lying to them about the content of the DASI computer being inconsequential and nothing of value, right? The CD that would have proved that to be a lie was held in Tom Fassbender's personal custody for 12 years. So anybody think that this happens by accident? Anybody out there? Let me know. I got a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you. Because, yeah. Anyway. What is his screen name? Never seen. Okay. The judge was corrupt. We don't come here for shout outs, do we? Oh, our hater is now a lover. Let's see. He watches. I don't think ever comments. He's been trying to catch this live and finally saw the post on Facebook. Right on, Raina. And D&J had their hands tied by Willis. Yeah, they kind of did. Judge Willis was clearly favoring one side. What about ineffective investigations? Do we have any pictures of the bones in the fire pit or who deleted it? Russell Gatana, I love that. I love that. That's well done. And it brings me to a point that I always like to make, and that is this. when you bring up the fact that Dean and Jerry had limited amount of money to litigate this, essentially, right? To pay for investigators, to pay Pete Bates, their investigator, who I and one of my friends have kind of talked to on Facebook a bit. And I think he's pretty awesome. He's a cool dude. But they paid Pete Bates to be their investigator, and he's going around and everything that he's doing, and he's interviewing and all the stuff that he's uncovering for them and all that. They have to pay him, and then they have to pay any whatever court costs, things that have to come up, and then they pay experts and they pay whatever, and then whatever's left over is for them, right? Whatever's left over when they're done. So when it comes down to it, they said that by the end they were both working for like $9 an hour. I mean, you imagine a lawyer working for single digits an hour. That's what I mean. I mean, that's. I'll tell you what. It didn't seem to me that their dedication ever wavered, even if they were making $9 an hour. I mean, their dedication seemed solid. But yeah, the money thing, right? So the reason why I started talking about this is, how much did the state of Wisconsin spend to prosecute Stephen Avery? $1 million. It was over $1 million is what I've heard. Over $1 million is what they spent on the investigation, and then the litigating in court, having the trial and the, jury and all these things that all whatever. And, with all the investigation, with all the officers that were involved and everything, by the time it was all said and done, from what I've heard, the price tag was over $1 million. Here's my advice. Wisconsin, you should ask for your money back. Or at least you should negotiate it down to about 25 cents on the dollar, because you did not get 100%. You did not get your money's worth in the investigation. The investigation skills of your investigators were subpar, to the point that I think you should have got it for 25 cents on the dollar. But anyway, the point I'm making is the state can spend unlimited amounts of money. There's no real limit to what the state can spend on its prosecution. But those of us who find ourselves defending ourselves in this country, well, we do have finite resources, very finite resources. And so that is essentially a problem that Dean and Jerry were dealing with here. And so it's always something to take into account. Thanks, Travis, about the stating the wording of the order. Can we file for a change of venue? Well, that is interesting, folks, and I encourage you to go over and find TikTok Manitowoc on Twitter, or 7 Pairs of Panties, or many of those folks on Twitter there. They are passing around currently a petition to try to remove Judge Suck. So if you guys are interested in that, go over on Twitter and check them out. Oh, and thanks for playing that Get on the Train song. He's been singing all day. Did anyone see the text Krat's girlfriend message? Oh, I've seen so many things that Wilburette has said. She's just shocking to me. I can't believe the things that come out of her mouth sometimes. Like, and she thinks that it's like, okay, like good. Like, and I just look at it and shake my head going, wow, you are a really, really miserably twisted individual. Some of the things that she says, I just wow, shake my head at, because she's a piece of work. It's just Teresa still don't have justice, and that is sad too. Absolutely, I've signed that, and I have shared it, and I put it on my Facebook. Every day I'm going to get people to sign that thing, and come on, people, sign it. Okay, well, there you go, Linda. Post that link for everybody and get them to sign it. This must not be live. Scott Farish, this is live. That should prove it to you, if nothing else will. Let's see. There you go. There's a link to the petition. Pom Pom just posted it. Does KZ plan to go after the major sleazebags in this case? When she can start to prove things, I guarantee you she will be going after them. Like, she can now prove that the AG's office is playing games because of the voicemail that they sent her for Tom Fallon. Anyway, So now that she can prove that, now she can talk about that, and as she proves more things, she'll be able to talk about those things. So give it time to unfold. There's the link right there again from Julie, folks, for the petition to get Judge Suck removed. It's right above your comment, Connie. Right above your comment of, yeah, posted I will sign. The link to it is right above your comment. I'd say go to the petition and see. There's probably a rules and see if it says anything about where you reside. See, Rhonda South, he's grumpy. Who's grumpy? TikTok Manitowoc or I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Are you sure this is live? I'm sure. Is this me? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Daisy, if those are the videos and photos I think you're referring to, unfortunately, that was pretty much debunked. Lens notes were not well written. Well, no, I don't think so. Yeah. So anyway, that's the petition to get Judge Suck removed potentially. Like I say, she's the most requested judge to be replaced in Sheboygan and I think in the state of Wisconsin, which is shocking because Sheboygan is not really a large pool in terms of like Milwaukee or Madison or some other areas of Wisconsin, some other population centers are. So it's truly amazing that she is so often requested to be removed. So to move on, I was talking a little bit about Brady with the CD, right? That's going to be a big one because the fact that they were saying that the computer had nothing on it of evidentiary value or anything like that mattered. Because they were saying that, and then we're holding on to the CD that would have proven otherwise. I mean, they're being dishonest. And like I said, they held on to that computer evidence, those DVDs and the Fassbender report. They held on to all that stuff for 8 months and then handed it over literally like a month and a half, 2.5 months before trial, whatever, a month before Denny's due. I mean, just ridiculously obvious, obstructive tactics. Just obvious, absolutely obvious. Yeah, if they had the CD, it would have told them that Kratz was lying to them. It would have immediately told them that Kratz was lying and there was something of evidentiary value there that would have allowed them to meet the burden for Denny when it came to Bobby Dassey. And the fact that Kratz was hiding that is a problem. And holding on to it for 8 months, all these things, I'm telling you, these tactics, come on. I mean, it's obvious. They are tactics, and they are trying to do, it's pretty obvious that they are trying to hand it over at just that crucial moment where it's just enough time that they're not going to get in trouble for it, I guess, or right on that cusp of that time, so that they're jamming the defense up as much as possible so that most likely they will not be able to get to reviewing those 7 DVDs and the entire hard drive of the computer, and bury the Fassbender report in a pile of, I think it was 36 other DCI reports, stacks of documents. So in a stack of, like, I think it was 36 was the count. The Fassbender report is in a stack like that. And you're handing this over a month before Danny's due. And you're holding back the CD that actually has the forensic analysis that was done on the computer by Detective Veely over at Grand Chute. The actual thing that contained that analysis was held back. And to say that it's up to the defense to do that, I mean, it's the state that has unlimited resources, not the defense. So it seems completely unfair, and I'm glad that the Wisconsin Supreme Court recently has reversed their stance on the way that Brady is going to be interpreted. I think that's going to be huge. Is it true that Teresa Hallbach's mother, Karen Hallbach, is skeptical of the guilt of Stephen? I have no idea if that's true or not. I don't know. I as far as I know, she totally believes that Stephen and Brendan are both guilty. From everything I've ever heard, Teresa's immediate family believes that they are. What are your thoughts on a woman's body found on another gravel site of the Redant family in the 70s, Debbie Segwati? Yeah, I heard about that back in the day. Hold on. I have heard about that before. It is odd that there was somebody else killed there. That's another red flag for me about, what was really going on here. So, I don't know. Interesting. Let's see. Who wants me? Email exchange with Buting less than a month ago. What are your thoughts on? Okay, yeah, there's that. Surprising it went on this long. Okay, wow, I signed the petition a few days ago from Sandy Greenman sharing it on Twitter, and it was at 49. It's now up to 6K. Right on. Yeah. So, and that keeps growing. So keep it growing. This is how you guys wonder how your little voice of just tuning in and following and staying in tune here with me here and with the other YouTubers and the other news sources where you get your news and staying tuned in. This is what it can do. Your voice can matter in things like this, and it can get heard in petitions like this and things like this. And you find out about these things by coming to the sources that we're who are gonna be talking about them. Those of us who are in the case and very much interested in it. So this is why it's important to be aware. This is why it's important to be vigilant and continue coming back to get updated about the case so that you can get involved on things like this petition. Let's see. I was watching a Dr. Drew episode. He was interviewing the juries and some really smart lawyers. Well-known lawyers, and they debunked to this whole case and said if they would, only different outcome. That can't test them now, period. But it may just get them free. Let's see. I signed them in the UK. There you go. Mark Hodnott. Dean and Jerry did a good job. Imagine if Stephen had been left with a Kaczynski type public defender. Fair point, Mark. At least Stephen wasn't stuck with that. Right? 100% right there. How is it that Colburn and Link were allowed to work on the property? I know, right? The conflict of interest that they said they were trying to avoid, but did absolutely nothing to avoid. I know, right? Interesting stuff, right? Mark H, exactly. We have had thousands of man hours to look at this. They did not have that luxury. I think Casey's strongest arguments is the violation of SA due process of rights by giving the bones back. If you haven't stated this already, all others are bonuses, in my honest opinion. Russell Gatan, I think you got here a little late, buddy. But I did state that I felt that was going to be the biggest point. But I did say I was going to build to it by talking about some of the other points and putting it into terms that people can understand. So before I even get to the bones, since Russell's here chomping at the bit, before I get to the bones, I want to say everything that's in the motion for post-conviction relief including the CD issue now, because that was remanded to the circuit court, and then it was, Zellner filed her, whatever. It went back to the circuit court. That is now part of the appeal. Now, so now that is all part of the appeal, and that is progressing in the Court of Appeals. That has been basically stalled at the moment, because now the Court of Appeals is going, okay, wait, these bones being given back and the state's conduct in its response just is totally weirding us out. And so now they're stopping the appeal again. It's on hold, and they're sending the issue of the bones being returned, basically getting rid of biological evidence and violating Wisconsin statute, and then therefore Stephen Avery's due process rights, because they weren't handing over the documents to Stephen's lawyers, which would have shown that they were giving these things back. They didn't give Stephen's lawyers an opportunity to do anything about it. So they violated Stephen Avery's due process rights. So that's what's going back to circuit court right now to be decided. And it is a big deal, because if it goes back to the circuit court, a hearing is granted. And if Stephen is successful in the hearing of proving that the statute was violated and that his due process rights were violated, he automatically gets a new trial. And then that makes the appeal moot, because if he gets a new trial, it's a new trial. It's time to go and retry this entire case again. And this time it's going to be Zellner with unlimited resources, pretty much unlimited resources, battling the state. How much more good money is Wisconsin going to throw after bad? I wonder. I really wonder. How much more good money are they going to throw after bad? Fair question. But that's where they're at right now. And yeah, maybe getting rid of Judge Suck and her biased opinion, which, judging by things she's done in the past, she's obviously biased. Maybe getting rid of her and getting a real judge who will really give an honest look at this and a hearing and whatever. We may get that retrial right now. I'm serious. Wisconsin needs to just rip the Band-Aid off and quit this like slow removal of this, of the Band-Aid here. They just need to just go and own it and deal with it for whatever it is. And because the way they're doing it right now is just painful. They're wasting their taxpayers' money, and by obstructing instead of just meeting it head on. You know what? If you think you're innocent and you didn't do anything wrong and that this is all just and hunky dory, then what do you have to fear? What do you have to fear? But you guys are afraid right now. You're afraid of the Court of Appeals. You're afraid that the Court of Appeals is seeing your BS. You're afraid of the wind that's blowing now that the Wisconsin Supreme Court has decided that the interpretation of Brady has changed now, to where the burden is now going to be more on the prosecution in the state than it had previously, and be less about the defense's due diligence. So there's a wind blowing. So they're scared. They're scared of the way the wind is blowing. And I'm glad to see that wind is starting to change. It's certainly a good thing. Hey there, Mark. What's up, buddy? Yes, Pom Pom's doing a great job. Single-handedly, even. Let's see here. If anyone wants spying on the... We got to make a shirt like that says Manitowoc or something like that. Rip the Band-Aid off or something. That's got to be. We got to make a T-shirt out of that. What hurts the most is that there's no body in the diary process. In the diary princess murder, she did it out of jealousy and vengeance and only got 8 years. ZK Motion KZ motion is due this Friday. Then CC has to set timetable on what? What would happen if all the judges, no matter what is shown, rejects all motions filed? They just refuse to let KZ get anywhere with any case. What can be done? I just don't think that's the wind. I don't think the wind's blowing that way, Erica Cole. I think the recent decision from the Wisconsin Supreme Court about Brady, I think it's an indicator that the wind is starting to blow in a new direction in terms of criminal justice in Wisconsin. I think that decision's huge. I just don't think that's going to happen. But if it did, she would end up having to take it to a higher. Travis can answer that better than I could. I'll put it that way. Hello from Australia. Finished work. Happy joy. Nice to see you, Deborah Kent. Let's see. I can't show plays faves. Cathis show. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Scott Farish, but I don't know. Okay. We need to get a big Band-Aid and put it on the Capitol stairs and across the door. Says ouch on it and get a gigantic Band-Aid. Now, we don't want to do anything like that that's going to get people in trouble. Need more people to visit the rally chat room and leave more input and suggestions. Yeah, please do. If you're in Discord and stuff, please go into the rally chat and talk about the rally. Give any suggestions you have. I believe there was even talk at one point about getting renting a house for a week or something, where that way people that need a place to possibly hang out while they're there or something like that. Anyway, we'll have to see. But yeah, everybody, please go over into the rally chat and Discord and toss some ideas around. Anyway, wow. Okay, sorry. Need more people to visit the rally chat room. Yeah, right. Said that. Great plan. No one cares. See, then it goes back to the COA, and then they will deal with it. Exactly. That's where I'm getting in a minute. I haven't gotten to that point just yet, but I will be. I hope I'm right too, but I think I am. Like I say, I think the wind's changing direction there with that decision from the Wisconsin Supreme Court regarding Brady. I think that's a huge deal. They're putting the burden back on the prosecution, which is where it's meant to be with Brady. I mean, that's the point of Brady. So, yeah. Sure, Scott. My email is simple. ErekoseMAM@gmail.com. I've shared it many times, but it's pretty simple. It's just my name, ErekoseMAM@gmail.com. Send it over. Got to sign the petition. Let's see here. I hate it when the stupid thing jumps. Need to get a big Band-Aid. Yeah. Let's see. Scott, what does he say in the letter? Let's see. Reply when he's actually looking at the chat, buddy. Emailing you. Please respond to my email instead of okay. You already told us. Let's see. Ziggy and I have some ideas. Okay, great, Linda. Sorry, buddy. Won't speak Portuguese here with you. I was just having trouble understanding it. So, and wait, who you? I thought you were talking about. Wasn't it somebody? It was somebody else that had said something. I just couldn't understand what it because it was not. Cathis. Yeah, I know. It was Scott Ferris that said it. So I'm not sure what you were referring to there, sir. Anyway, Raphael. Anyway, moving on. Buting says it's all about state hiding the CD from them. I agree that it's a big deal. That's the Brady violation I was referring to. Daisy Lady KLG. Can you please reiterate that the Wisconsin Supreme Court's action on Brady just simply put it back to how the U.S. case law, I think Daisy Lady KLG is asking me to say that it puts it back to the way Brady was supposed to be, the way that Brady was designed and what it was intended to do, where it's not meant to put the burden on the defense, but it's meant to put the burden on the prosecution so that the prosecution feels the burden to share their discovery in a timely manner and not what happened in this case. Absolutely. I have a great theory I need to share on where Kratz got his narrative from, which is a good place on Discord to share it with you guys. There's several rooms there on Discord. If it's just a theory, there's a theory room you could probably go to. 2004 Blazer Fire. Very little. JD Pennington. Am I in a submarine? No, as far as I know, I'm not in a submarine. Daisy, they eliminated the requirement of due diligence of counsel. Absolutely. I love how you said red letter day. Yeah, I enjoyed that. All right, so to move on now. Okay, so let's say right now the bone issue is on its way back to the circuit court, right? So now let's say that it gets to the circuit court and they do the evidentiary hearing and the evidentiary hearing is successful and boom, Stephen's got a new trial. That's obviously the quickest way to get to what Stephen needs, which is a new trial, right? Okay. If that happens, great. If that doesn't happen, if it goes back to the circuit court and an evidentiary hearing is held, and let's say whether or not an evidentiary hearing is held or not, whatever is filed at the circuit court and everything will become part of the appeal. It will go back to the Court of Appeals. It will become part of the record at the Court of Appeals. And at that point, then Kathleen Zellner will file another petition another motion with the Court of Appeals. And only now that motion will now include all the stuff about the bones, them giving them back, hiding that they had given them back, Mark Williams calling and leaving a message for Tom Fallon talking about how they should not tell KZ or not how they should not answer her and just and all this whatever blah 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 and check what's in the bags as if it's going to be there when the documents say it's gone, or whatever. So anyways, all that stuff, that's all going to become part of the appeal. So you're going to now have all the issues in her motion for post-conviction relief, which I was discussing at the opening of this video, right? Then you're going to have the CD, right? So that issue, and that's a Brady issue, which the recent Supreme Court, Wisconsin Supreme Court decision has redefined the way that's interpreted. So that's going to be a big deal, and that's going to be helpful. That's going to be one of her strongest arguments. And then you're going to also have this bone issue, the violation of statute and due process because of the way that they failed to turn over the documentation showing what they had done. They did not let Stephen's counsel or Stephen know what they were doing and did not give them a chance to test it then. And that is a violation of Stephen's due process rights. And so that's where we're at right now, folks. These are the strongest claims, the strongest arguments she has. Like I said, a lot of them are laid out in the motion for post-conviction relief. I encourage all of you to go and check out those videos that Travis and I and even Tracy Struncy's been involved with. And Julie Johnson, lovely Julie Johnson, who's here in the chat here. She's also very involved with those because she's the one helping us out, creating the slideshows. I currently have an email to her with the notes for the next set of slides. So hopefully she'll have those to us soon. And Travis and I are already working on the notes for the final part of the motion for post-conviction relief. So we're going to get those parts out, the slideshows with the accompanying Q&As here, hopefully pretty soon. So that's where we're at. But that's, you got to look at all the stuff that's in the motion for post-conviction relief, which Judge Suck just dismissed just carelessly, personally, in my opinion. And when she tried to explain her analysis of the things in the motion for post-conviction relief in her order, it seemed pretty clear to me she didn't understand. But then you got the CD, then you got the bones. On top of that, you got the call from Mark Williams showing the state is playing games, and all these things are gonna, these are all adding up to the strong arguments and strong argument altogether that Kathleen Zellner now has going in now. So that's where we're at. So I hope everybody understands. And I know Travis has been here helping you guys understand in the chat. So he's been probably answering some questions for you and helping you guys understand a few things. No wound can heal properly until all the infection is cut out. Yeah. You got to rip off the Band-Aid to do that, unfortunately. If we get a retrial, I bet the RAV disappears. Well, if we get a retrial, she gets her hands on it. And gosh, I want to see her get her hands on that RAV, because seriously, I guarantee you we are not going to find anywhere near 1.9 nanograms of Stephen's DNA on anything around that hood, engine compartment, battery cables, the hood release inside, any of that. None of that. We're not going to find anywhere near that level of DNA. It's not going to happen. But yeah, when the new trial happens, she will certainly have access to that if she doesn't manage to get access to it sooner. But I would say the state is going to drag their feet and obstruct on that as much as they possibly can. We are waiting for Kathleen to file the motion with the circuit court now. Yeah, Travis was saying that will be on Friday. You can pretty much count on the fact that Travis and I will be on Friday talking about that, possibly with Tracy Struncy. We'll have to let her know that we want her to come on with us, and I'm sure she'll fit us in. She'll pencil us in. Like I said, we don't know. No official response in the court. Only what they told KZ, and we know you can't trust the state, so we don't know. Right. That's a fair statement, I believe, from Travis. I think if they order a retrial, it's game over for the state. Honestly, I believe so too, because they're gonna not want to retry this against Kathleen Zellner, who is going to fiercely refute all the flipping crap that they tried to assert in the first trial. She's going to shred it, and they know that, and they know that there's really nothing they can do about it because they did such a poor job. That's why Wisconsin should be asking for their money back on this investigation and everything. They should, or at least they should be negotiating it down to where it should have only been like 25 cents on the dollar, because I think that's all the investigation was worth here. So I think we have effectively covered all the strongest arguments for Kathleen Zellner here. She's really got him at this point, I think, pinned down. I mean, this whole thing about the bones being given back, and the way that they tried to hide it, not only in queso, they didn't hand over the pages of queso that indicated these bones being given back, but they also held back the pages of the ledger that would have indicated this. To me, the state has been caught with their pants down, or their hand in the cookie jar, however you want to look at it. But this is them. This is showing them being dishonest, being the dishonest crooks that we all believe they are, and this is showing them being that, and I think this is going to be at least the beginning of a huge turning point for Stephen and Brendan, and I say Brendan too. You know, ultimately, all this wonkiness and crap is going to apply. Okay, when the investigation here gets completely shot out, and with all the question there is surrounding Brendan's confession as it is already, all of this is going to end up trickling down to Brendan. I'm sure of it. Do you think Sweaty KK would attend the trial? Do you think the trial would be televised? If retrial, and yes, you are right, they would be petrified to have her on a retrial. She is ready, absolutely. So do I think Ken would show up? Absolutely. Him and Leah would both be there with bells on. It would, just like they were there for Brendan's on bank and his federal court stuff. He was there inserting himself and commenting to the media and doing all those things. And yeah, this won't be any different. He'll be there. He's too much of a narcissist not to be. And then your next question: do you think the trial will be televised? Ooh, I'm thinking at this point, no. Wisconsin is not going to televise it. Well, I don't know. It depends which way they go, I guess. It depends on the judge, but I guess one judge could reason that maybe in the interest of transparency, they want to televise it. If that was to happen, great. I mean, that would be spectacular. I'd be over the moon if that was the case. But I get a feeling they're probably going to want to continue with their current attitude of trying to keep a lid on things and trying to obstruct, and so therefore they're not going to want to televise it so that people can't see the developments that Zellner makes, in court. I would guess they're going to obstruct it. KK is a true narcissist. He'll never miss an opportunity. You're absolutely right. Absolutely 100% right. Should have requested Brendan, and that should have helped in the disputing of the cases. I don't think at all that you were being sarcastic. I have seen The Innocent Man. I've done a video on it. If you want to check it out, I did a little video earlier today that will show you how to go to the search on my channel and search, and you can type in The Innocent Man. I did it. I think I did it either the day after or the day before Christmas. Can't remember which, but it was right around Christmas time. Exactly. They're going to continue throwing good money after bad. And that's unfortunate. I feel bad for the taxpayers of Wisconsin because their leaders are going to continue to throw good money after bad on this. They've already spent all this money on keeping this suppressed and keeping this travesty afloat. And they're going to continue to throw that good money after bad on it. And that's proven by what they did with Brendan. They fought that and Hail Married for the on-bank review, and miraculously with one of the judges from the Wisconsin Supreme Court that was now one of the judges at the federal circuit court, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which we know snubbed Brendan once before. Yeah. So yeah, that on bank review is a real fishy matter. I'll put it that way. So I think we've gone over all the issues pretty well here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it, having a chat about it. Let's all go over to Discord if you want, and we'll chat more about it. I dig talking about this stuff too. So, and there's plenty of people over there that love discussing this, but talking about what KZ has to do right now is a big deal, and I want to keep talking about it. How's Stacy say? Let's keep talking about Avery. Yeah, let's keep talking about Dassey. And let's talk about that disingenuosity. Anyways, all right. So there you go. Oh, thank you so much, Chase, and thank you so much, Go Mean Green. I appreciate it. A beer or a giant Dr. Pepper, maybe both. Thanks, Erekose. You're a highlight of our week. Please play Avery Road on the way out. I absolutely will. Share with Travis and Pom Pom if possible. Well, Pom Pom moved. She's not quite as close to me as she used to be, unfortunately. But thank you so much, Go Mean Green. You're very sweet. Thank you. You're very generous. I'm sure everyone thought that this was a crack up, but Crimes of Comer Link and pretty much in Wisconsin are freaking out every day. Talk a little more about it every day. Thank you so much, Erica Cole. Thank you so much. Pink Floyd. No, I will not. Nope. I don't have the permission to play that. I have permission to play Stacy's stuff. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up one of Miss Susan's lovely pieces of artwork for you all. All right. Share my screen with you here real quick. All right. Before we get into that, so this was made by Miss Susan Sexton, and I'm going to also put up, maybe around halfway through the song, I'm going to put up the one that she created for me for Brendan, which is the camel with the bales of hay. So here we go. Cutting to Stacy. We all live on Avery Road.
Wisconsin can be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold, or we forget.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You guys are all awesome.
We live on Avery Road.
Pom Pom will post a link for you to join Discord.
Should be easy to see. This could be you, could be me. We shouldn't sit by idly, accepting everything that we are told. I live on Avery Road. I live on Avery Road.
Thank you for being here, Martha.
So let's keep talking about Avery. Yeah, let's keep talking till he's set free. Oh, you just listen, I think you'll see why it matters. Really matters. Put aside the documentary, the state's version of idiocracy. Oh, all their claims so blatantly get torn to tatters. I think that matters. I bet you heard about Hood like Sweat, but maybe you ain't heard this yet. 19 more times the DNA that was left anywhere else that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. An ex-boyfriend with a day planner page, and yet they did not investigate. And who knows why, and who can say why he was signed into the crime scene that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters.
Good night, Ming Jane. Thank you so much.
How about the barrel that once was seized, but then returned to the Averys? The bones were found the next day, but not one photograph exists of where they lay. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. I could go on listing things off, 80 more things. I just keep on singing these songs. To Avery, freedom rings. I said it matters. It really, I know it matters. It could be you, I think it matters. It could be me, I know it matters. Work with Casey, it matters. I said it matters. It really matters.
Bonus. Just for those of you who love Stacy Seabrook's music as much as I do.
Don't get straight, no, no, no. Oh, I ain't getting straight. Don't get straight.
I ain't getting straight.
I'm sick of the suffering. Can't stand the pain. Don't get straight. Well, we know the story. Oh, we do it said we can see
Plain as day. They got to Brendan's head. Totally insane.
Don't get straight. Everything
They did. Questionable evidence gathered by Manawa. But it made such sense. While they're in the game, don't get strange.
don't get straight. No, no, no. Oh, now I ain't getting straight. Don't get straight. I ain't getting straight. And
That's right. That cheating, that predatory sweaty. Anything he says, you can throw away. He's a legal stain. Don't get strange.
We finally find out who's to blame.
Don't get strange. Don't get strange. All right, folks. And remember, Stacy uploaded a new one today. It's not an MAM song, but I actually still dig it. Still a really awesome song. So go over and check it out. You know the drill. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And make sure if you see the lovely Susan Sexton out there, to make sure you give her the tip of the hat for some of this great, awesome artwork she's creating for me. She is just totally badass. So if you guys see her around, you make sure you tell her how badass she is for me. Thanks. All right, guys. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see ya.